I contributed to a game that is on Steam. In fact, the game came out over a year ago. You might have seen one or two demo videos uploaded to this channel about it. It's called Circuit Breaker. I kind of just wanted to talk about it in a video, what it is, and kind of just a story of it. So jumping back to 2020, I had graduated. The pandemic was still going on, but starting to get more lax. It was getting around mid-July, maybe mid-August, somewhere in between there, where my friend Warren hit me up. Shout out to Warren. The game they had made for their capstone in college, they were still working on after the school year had ended. The capstone game that I was a part of, our team had considered it, but ultimately the talks fell apart, and we just kind of left it where it was. But they were deciding to continue working on it, and he had contacted me about helping continue to work on it, specifically with kind of implementing this hub functionality they had for kind of choosing, your mission and such. And I'd already known what the game concept was. Obviously, I play tested it. We all play tested each other's games in college to help out. I was part of the class as well. And I was like, you know what? This sounds really fun. I had just released the iOS game Hot Wings with another group of colleagues. So I was ready kind of for the next project to work on. And I thought this would be fun. The game they were making was called Circuit Breaker, which was a turn-based strategy game with cyberpunk theming. And I hadn't really, I hadn't worked on a turn-based game before, but also had much experience in turn-based games. So it was a lot of good experience for me there, kind of jumping onto a genre that I wasn't familiar with, learning about it from other games as we went along. To get inspiration from. And so, yeah, it was a cool project to jump into, especially with that cyberpunk theming. I'm a sucker for cyberpunk theming. So, yeah, it basically what I was tasked with at first was helping overhaul the mods and update system. And with the help of the other programmers, I was able to get into that larger code base and figure things out, get help from them on terms of how certain things connect to other things in the code base. And that was a great way to jump in. Once we had kind of wrapped up the overhaul of the mods for the most part, the next thing I got to jump onto was the hub. The idea of the hub was to be this menu system in terms of how you'd get to different parts of the game, be it the campaign missions, replaying the missions, upgrading your character, the story, and any extras that we would end up having. So it went through a lot of different iterations, and I got a lot of people had different ideas of what the hub should be. And so I kind of gathered all that feedback and what I considered the hub might be and made a gray box of it. And this was really cool because it was kind of the first thing, I had worked on, I feel like, at least 24 games at this point. Mostly obviously smaller games, I'm not talking about AAA games, but at school, I'd worked on a lot of different games. And this felt kind of truly something that it was a piece of the game that I was making that felt like, me. Like it was something of my personality that I feel like I was finally kind of getting to put in a game. Specifically kind of with the world building aspects of this hub. It being an interactive area, that you kind of, explore, obviously, to a limited extent. You're obviously not walking around it in the final product. But, so I kind of made this gray box, and then I started taking this functionality that had already existed to do certain things in the game and started, conforming it to what the hub would be like and, getting a lot of feedback as time went along. We decided that, kind of the UI art needed to be overhauled to all match the theming, to be a part of the same theme. So we kind of simplified the UI art so we could reach that goal of everything looking the same while making new art for everything that already existed. That kind of helped shape the hub as well. And basically once we had that UI implemented, the upgrades working on the UI for the upgrades was a big part of the game that I got to work on. It came to the part that I was most excited to do was story implementation. So, basically, the story for the game had gone through a lot of different iterations, had been worked on by different people at different points, of people who, were on the team, weren't on the team anymore. And basically, we knew that we were going to have kind of BuddyBot, this character BuddyBot, and he was going to kind of be the main narrative tunnel for force throughout the game to talk to your character. At one point we had other characters involved, and they would pop up, on the screen and such, or as a hologram. But ultimately, at the end, we realized the story just wasn't working. So a couple of us got together and we rewrote it to, kind of make more sense, to be in scope for the time we had left for the deadline we wanted to reach. And overall, with the time that we had, it's a pretty simple, straight-through story, but we're pretty happy with how it turned out, especially because we ended up getting Ben, my friend Ben, to voice act BuddyBot.
Well, anywho, I don't want to psych you out before you're going to the big match, so chop, let's get going. All right.
And Ben, obviously, from the live-action shorts, or if you're a true Veli fan, all the way back from the stop motions.
Another dead Jedi. Makes me smile.
So it was really great to get him in to voice that. We had a lot of fun. One night I just went over to his house and we stayed up till like 7 in the morning recording all the voice lines, because that was like the only time that we could get together and make this work with the time frame we had. And so, I ended up working together with the composer using Fmod, which is this other audio engine you connect to Unity. We ended up getting all the voice lines into the game. I programmed kind of the system for the dialogue playing out, how you would interact with that, going to each line, and it was really cool to finally touch storytelling in a video game. Like I was saying before, I obviously worked on video games in college, and I went to college for game design, but specifically, because I cared about storytelling in video games. And I didn't really, get to work on that pretty much at all in college, because you just don't have the time to make a game like that. Things are happening very fast. You might be making multiple games a semester, specifically in the program that I was in, at the school that I was at. But that's how it was, and I thought, at the time it was for the best. I'm getting in here, I'm making games, I'm making these actual finished things I can show that you can play, that aren't, unfinished, that, you can't really, understand what it is. They were these contained experiences, and I do stand by the belief, and many others do, that there is a lot of value in that when you're a beginner, is finishing these things that you're making. But after making 20 or so of those experiences, you kind of have to go, okay, I got to start making the things that I want to make. And that's kind of just why I wanted to make this video and talk about Circuit Breakers, because it was kind of at that moment that I felt like I was finally doing the thing that I meant to do 4.5 years ago. 5 by the time that this game came out, which was in October of 2021. Yes, the game has been out for that long, and it's it's been on Steam, which has been really cool. We put out a patch in September, I think, of some bug fixes, specifically a couple that I was really interested in fixing. And if you keep your eyes out here, there's going to be a big sale during the the winter Steam sale coming up. By the way, the game is only $5, not on sale. So if you want to pick it up, just wanted to let you know about that. If you don't want to pick it up, you don't have any interest in playing a turn-based type game, that's okay. If you could wishlist it, that would be awesome. But that's totally cool. Circuit Breaker, made by the team Still Pending, of which I'm still a part of. We're an actual indie game studio, and we're almost out of pre-production on our next project. So I'll definitely let you guys know more about that once the time comes. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to talk about this game and, just tell you that it exists and what I did on it. But yeah, I have a full write-up of this on my portfolio. If you want to check that out, it'll be in the description. But yeah, I've been Jake from Veli, and I'll see you guys in the next one.